YouTube, it's your girlfriend GJ, aka Girl Next Door. That makes y'all my neighbors. Hi neighbors, how y'all doing today? All my new subscribers, welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy what you see. And if you do, like, share, and comment below. I live for you guys' comments. So this video, I'm going to be talking about living in a low-income apartment. Not Section 8, but an apartment based off income. To me, living there was more difficult than it seemed when you first apply. In North Carolina, you have to, first off, find low-income housing. There's two types of low-income. There's regular apartments, and they offer a low-income program. And you have to have so many requirements to fit low-income housing. The low-income housing that I lived in was through a program that also helps with Section 8. But you don't apply for Section 8. You just apply for the apartments. First off, you have to find the apartments. The apartments don't have low income written across the building. You have to go online or go to your housing authority website in your city, and there's a list of requirements. Some you have to be over 65, some you have to be a single parent. So I applied back in 2007. When you apply, you're on a waiting list for God knows how long. So it's good to apply to multiple ones. I don't believe you have to pay an application fee. So I went down and applied. You don't have to take any of your check stubs at the time. You just go down and apply. I hadn't heard from them all of 2007. So in 2008, I went out and just got me a regular apartment. And I just paid normal rent. Then 2008 came and left. And I still hadn't heard from the low-income housing. So you're still on a waiting list. They never take you off unless you call. And the lists are fairly long, of course, because people, once you get into an apartment where you only have to pay $300 a month, people don't tend to leave. But there are instances where people move out of town. So you have to be mindful when you go on these waiting lists. Just be patient, but always have a plan B. It's not always guaranteed for them to call you back soon. So if you're looking to move in 2 months, don't go running down to the low-income apartment and put an application in now, because in 2 months, they may not be ready for you. For some reason, in my city, the low-income apartments are nice. Brand new, built within the last 5 years. New appliances, new cabinets, not old looking, they're all brand new. So it's like you really can't tell that they're low-income housing. They're not like project-looking buildings. They're very nice. There's some uptown. So what happened in my case, 2008 came and left, like I said. 2009, I moved into another apartment that was just normal market rate rent. And about 10 months into my lease, they called. They said, "Hey, Frenchie J, your name is up on the list. Do you want to move here, yes or no?" And I was like, oh my God, I have 2 more months left on this lease of the apartment I'm staying now. How can I work this? Well, fortunately enough, I had a friend who said she would stay in my apartment, but I had gotten pregnant in 2008. So, and if anything changes like that, say you have one child, you have to call down there and let them know you have another child if you're expecting another child, so they know to take you from the 2-bedroom to the 3-bedroom. And you get a 2-bedroom if you have a boy, and a 3-bedroom if you have a boy and a girl. If you have and you have 2 boys, you still get a 2-bedroom. In North Carolina, the state law is siblings, boy and girl, cannot stay in the same room. So you have to get a 3-bedroom. So I had my son in 2009, and so when they called me, I was just like, you know what? My roommate at the time said she would stay there and pay my last 2 months rent. So I took off. I took off and moved as fast as I could. Now, here's the downside about it. I had to move in blind. So I knew where the apartments were. I didn't know anyone who stayed there. There was no floor plan to look at. All I could do was ride by and kind of get an idea of where I might be staying. And I literally went down there, took my pay stubs, ID, social security card, took my son's social security card, and did an in-depth application. And once they run your credit, your rental history, your hours and stuff by your employer, if your name is up, you get the apartment. Now, the stipulations about living in a low-income apartment. I had heard all these stories about you can't have no boyfriend, you can't have no husband, you can't have no man, you can't have no overnight visitors, and it's just like, what? You really don't know till you move in. The stipulations in my case were I had to go to a meeting on, I think, every last Thursday of the month, which doesn't sound hard, does it? No, not at all. Just go to an hour or two long meeting every third Thursday of the month. That the apartments held, and the meetings were like how to build your credit, how to get life insurance, meetings that helped you in life move ahead. They say that you're not self-sufficient when you're living in a low-income apartment because you need to be low income so you can get the extra assistance. So the meetings were about how to become more self-sufficient, how to save money and stuff like that. The stipulations were also they had to come in the apartment, I would say, once every 6 to 8 weeks to do inspections. And the inspections I thought were to come in, and it's on the list to tell you what they check for. They want your stove cleaned. They want your vents where the filter is, no dust in front of it. They don't want any dressers in front of any windows. They want everything basically immaculate, as if you were having a dorm room check at college. That's how they want the inspection to look like. And in my mind, they came in, looked around, saw the place was clean, saw that stuff was in its place, and they left. Well, I had a cousin who also stayed in a different low-income apartment, and she's not a close cousin, like a distant cousin. And I was told that she had been kicked out because they found a man's shoe in her room or something like that. But you know how a telephone is. You tell one person one thing, and by the time it gets to you, it's a whole different story. Her son wore a size 13 or 14 shoe, so I don't even know the whole situation with that, because I believe it was his shoe, is what I was told by the time it got to me, and she got put out because they thought it was a man living there. Honey, I wouldn't have had time for that type of stuff. But when I read through the paperwork, it seemed simple enough. So I moved on in, me and my son, and it was a very nice place. Like, I literally didn't get my keys in my hand to even see the apartment until after I signed and paid my down payment and paid my first month's rent. And I believe my rent was like $217. So, but this is a stipulation with me. I have sickle cell. I can't work part-time. I wasn't getting disability, but overworking myself made me sick. So the full-time was very hard to keep. Plus the full-time at my job was 30 hours a week. But I only got full-time hours if someone went on vacation or something like that. So I had to get a second job to live at these apartments. Not a big deal until I realized I was getting sicker and it was just too much on me. But nevertheless, I made it work for about, I want to say 2 years I stayed there. It was a nice place. It was big. Everything was new. The inspections went fine. I'm not a dirty person anyway, so there was no biggie. Well, this is when everything started going downhill. I was in my bed sleeping. My son was with his dad or something like that. And I woke up to two men standing over my bed, looking down at me, trying to wake me up. And I'm like, what the? So I'm like, covering up. What the hell are y'all doing in my apartment? Oh, we just came to clean the carpet. We didn't see your car out front, so we just came on in. Dog, you still think they would knock or give you a call letting you know they're getting ready to come clean your carpet? Like, that was the most scary situation for me because I didn't expect two men to be in my house. You know, like, so anyway, throughout the year, I hadn't been home for any of the inspections, and I purposely think they look for your vehicle to make sure you're not there when they go into your apartment to do the inspections. Honey, when they came in to do this one inspection I was there for, they came in, threw the lights on and off, opened the refrigerator, opened the cabinets, went under the cabinets in my bathroom, told me I had to move my dresser because it was in the way of a window and the window could be used as an emergency exit in case of a fire. I had to rearrange my room basically for, like, move my bed. But if it's a fire, like, I'm not gonna, there was still a window that was free. So it's like, why am I gonna go out that window over there? Anyway, The inspection was way more than I thought. Like, why are they going through my cabinets? Well, come to find out through a neighbor, they go through your cabinets to make sure you and your baby have food. Because if you're not paying a full market rate rent, which the rent would have been $700 or $800 to live in the apartment I was staying in, but I was only paying me $217. So they was looking under the bed to see if shoes. I don't even really know why they was looking under the bed and stuff, but it was intense. It was like, what? Like, really? And so I was also told they look into all that to make sure there's no drugs, no paraphernalia, no beers, no, like, honestly, you have to be a single person or a single mother who all you do is work all the time or go to school, because they count that too. They count school as hours. So if you work 15 hours a week and go to school 15 hours a week, that's still your full time. And you have to just be straight and narrow, and every Thursday, even though they want you to work 40 hours a week, you had to be there every Thursday at 6 o'clock. No matter if you worked open or closed, you had to be there at that meeting. So you have to either take off from work or miss work for a couple of hours, or I don't even know how they expect you to be there every single Thursday. But if you miss it, they dock you for that. And then once you miss 3, they kick you out the apartments. So anyway, the only benefit was that the rent was cheap, and if you couldn't make that rent due to an emergency, they would help you pay it, and they're brand new. The rest was just a headache. I would be afraid to have company for the fear of the maintenance man riding through, checking to see who's this, whose car is this, and then you can't park there if you don't have a sticker. It was just so much. So yeah, the high-rise apartment, dolled up like a penthouse, was all nice and good, but it wasn't worth it to me. I had to even let them know my cousin was coming to spend the night with me for a couple of weeks because it was summer break. And if they had seen him there without me notifying them, they would have assumed the man was staying there and keep me out. So, long story short, what happened was I ended up applying for disability, and I ended up making more than I was allowed to make. So either my rent was going to go up to $900, because over the year, rent went up from $217 to $3 something, which still isn't bad, but because they found out the eviction showed up on my credit because my friend didn't pay the rent when she stayed in my last apartment for those 2 months, they were trying to get me to pay all this money or leave. So that was my low-income apartment experience. I encourage anybody who's a single mother or a single father to apply for a low-income apartment if you work full-time hours and you can dedicate at least one day out of the month to go to these meetings. Because think about it, all the money you're making, you get to save or do something for yourself you want to do. I was just wanting to save money, so thank God I was able to save to move out when I did, because it was just a headache. Like, checking for men's clothes in your closets and baby food in your cabinets, to me, invades your privacy. But they feel like they have that right. And it was crazy to me because it was a mixed apartment complex. So door A may be low income person staying there. That door B may be elderly person staying there paying low income rent. And door C may be someone on Section 8. And they had their inspections on an entire different day. And you could see the people on Section 8 drinking beers, having parties, doing whatever they wanted to do. And their inspection was not even that intense. And it made me realize I am self-sufficient. I can live in an apartment without help. Like, I don't need you all to tell me I'm not self-sufficient to live here. It made me want to leave as soon as possible. And they made me break my lease because I had made too much money. And it just was a headache. Like, I get anxiety talking about it because it wasn't a good experience for me. But at the same time, living in a low-income apartment is not a forever thing. And I'm happy I got to experience it while I did. And I'm happy that it came to an end, because I never would have been able to get married or have a boyfriend or have a social life or date, without sneaking around in my own house. Like, who wants to sneak around your own house? But more power to the people who want to do it. I just thought I'd give you my side of the story, my insight. So, thank you guys for listening to my story about the low-income housing. If you have any questions, again, leave them below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. It's your girlfriend, Jay, and I'm signing out. Peace.